Hey there, folks. In this video, we are going to be multiplying rational expressions. And just as a reminder, in our discussion about rational expressions, these deal with ratios, and ratios are nothing more than things that can be written as fractions. So let's do a quick little recap on how we would multiply fractions. There are two ways to think of this. So I have the exact same problem written twice. The first way to think about multiplying fractions is just multiplying straight across. Numerators times numerator, denominators times denominator. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 10 is 30. And then if you can reduce, you reduce. 6 over 30, those can reduce down by a factor of 6. And I'm left with 1/5. So that's one way to do it. What we're going to try to get in the habit of doing, though, is instead of multiplying first and simplifying at the end, we're going to want to simplify first and then multiply at the end. So what I mean by that is anything from the numerator, either numerator, can cancel and reduce with anything from the denominator. So this 2 is allowed to reduce and interact with this 3 or this 10. Well, I know that 2 and 10, those can reduce. They'll turn into a 1 and a 5. And then 3 and 3, well, those essentially just cancel and turn into a 1 and a 1. So what I've done here is I've shrunken my numbers. So when I multiply, I have 1 times 1, that's just 1. And then 1 times 5, and that's 5. And I have my final answer. So when we're doing these, we're going to have 2 or more fractions. Anything with a numerator, anything within a numerator, any factor can cancel with any factor from either denominator. And then you take whatever's left, multiply them all together into one fraction. So let's take a look. First one appears to be factored for us, which is awesome, saves us some time. I'm just going to go through and check to make sure there's no missing GCFs, and it looks like we're safe. Okay, so x minus 4. I can cancel an x minus 4 with another x minus 4 in either denominator. Oop, here's an x minus 4. So those guys are gone. So that means everything from this denominator is gone. There's technically just a 1 hanging out there. X plus 3 can cancel out with any x plus 3's down below. I'm not seeing any. So this guy stays. X plus 5 can cancel out with any x plus 5's. Not seeing any, so x plus 5 stays. 3x minus 2 can cancel. Oop, we got a 3x minus 2 right there. Those are gone. And then an x plus 1 can cancel with any x plus 1's down below. Not seeing any. So that guy is a keeper. And we just take what's left in the bottom. We have x minus 3. And then there's a 1, but I don't need to write it. All right, so we're done. That's our final answer. Yay. Now let's go on to one that's a little bit more challenging, because we actually have to factor this thing out. So first thing we want to do is write this in factored form. We want to factor the living crap out of these things. So I've got 2 separate fractions being multiplied together. The first one up here in the numerator on the left, I'm not seeing any GCFs, so I'm going to go straight into my parentheses groups. First term is a 2x squared, so it's going to be a 2x and a 1x. Ends with a 1, so it's got to be a 1 and a 1. I just have to figure out pluses and minuses. We want a positive 2x and a negative 1x, because 2x minus 1x gives us that 1x in the middle. All right, down below, 4x minus 2. That's got a GCF of 2, because they're both even, so I'm left with x minus 1. Okay, let's see here. I've got a 2 up top, can't really do much with that. Down below I've got a 3, and then this would be an x minus 3. Again, GCF, greatest common factor. Let's see, what can cancel, what can cancel? Well, I've got this 2, it's a standalone 2, and that is a standalone 2. Since this is connected with multiplication, that is considered a factor, not an individual term, so that's totally legal. And I'd love to be able to cancel these guys out. Unfortunately, they don't match exactly, right? Because that's a plus and that's a minus. So an x plus 1 is not the same as an x minus 1, so that's a total bummer. So that's about as much as I can do. My final answer, I'm just going to combine all of the surviving factors into one big fraction. So 2x minus 1 times x plus 1 all over this little coefficient of 3. It's not wrong if you have it out of order, but typically we put those first. So really I just moved the 3 from in between these two to out front. And that's about as pretty as this thing will get. We've canceled all that can cancel. So that, my friends, is multiplying rational expressions. You factor first and go on a canceling rampage. Your final answer is whatever's left over. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out.